Today we are going to be reading one of my favorite books called Lily's Purple Plastic Purse. Lily loves everything about school, especially her very cool teacher, Mr. Slinger. But when Lily brings her special person for show and tell, her happy, excited personality changes. When we read today, we're going to be really listening for how Lily handles the big challenges that come her way. Even though this story is fiction, it's important to think about the connections we make to how Lily feels throughout the story. I know there are times when I've related to her. This author does a beautiful job at making the story feel super relatable. So before we read, I want us to think about, 1, why do you think Lily likes school so much? Why does she love it? 2, how do you think Lily feels when she brings her purple plastic purse into school? 3, why does Lily love her teacher, Mr. Slinger, so much? And 4, I wonder what happens in the story that changes Lily's happy personality. Let's find out. Lily's Purple Plastic Purse by Kevin Henkes. I love school. Lily loves school. She loved the pointy pencils. She loved the squeaky chalk. So when something's squeaky, it's normally a high-pitched sound. Think of like a squeaky pair of shoes. So the chalk is making this like loud, high-pitched sound. And she loved her way her boots went clickety-clickety-click down the long, shiny hallways. Lily loved the privacy of her own desk. She loved the fish sticks and chocolate milk every Friday in the lunchroom. Straws make everything taste better. I'm going to stop and ask, what are some of the reasons why Lily loves school so far? And most of all, she loved her teacher, Mr. Slinger. Mr. Slinger was as sharp as a tack. That means a tack is really sharp, so it means he's really with it and super smart. He wore artistic shirts, he wore glasses on a chain around his neck, and he wore a different colored tie for each day of the week. Wow, said Lily. That was just all she can say. Wow. Instead of greeting students or good morning pupils, Mr. Slinger winked and said howdy. He thought that desks and rows were old-fashioned and boring. Do you rodents think that you can handle a semicircle? He always provided the most tasty snacks, things that were curly and crunchy and cheesy. I want to be a teacher when I grow up, said Lily. Me too, said her friends Chester and Wilson and Victor. All right, here's a new question. Lily and her classmates love their teacher, Mr. Slinger. How do you know Lily loves her teacher this much? At home, Lily pretended to be Mr. Slinger. I am the teacher, she told baby brother Julius. Listen up. Lily even wanted her own set of deluxe picture encyclopedias. What's with Lily? Asked her mother. I thought she wanted to be a surgeon or an ambulance driver or a diva, said her father. It must be because of her new teacher, Mr. Slinger, said her mother. Wow, said her father. That was all about he could say. Wow. Whenever the students had free time, they were permitted to go to the light bulb lab in the back of the classroom. They expressed their ideas creatively through drawing and writing. Lily went often. She had a lot of ideas. She drew pictures of Mr. Slinger, and she wrote stories about him too. During sharing time, Lily showed her creations to the entire class. Wow, said Mr. Slinger. That was all about he can say. Wow. And at the very last second, Mr. Slinger saved the cold, starving elderly. Big, friendly Mr. Nice Teacher. When Mr. Slinger had bus duty, Lily stood in line even though she didn't ride the bus. Lily raised her hand more than anyone in the class, even if she didn't have the answer. And she volunteered to stay after school to clap erasers. I want to be a teacher when I grow up, said Lily. Excellent choice, said Mr. Slinger. One Monday morning, Lily came to school especially happy. She had gone shopping with her Grammy over the weekend. Lily had a new pair of movie star sunglasses complete with glittery diamonds and a chain like Mr. Slinger's. She had 3 shiny quarters, and best of all, she had a brand new purple plastic purse that played a jaunty tune when it was open. Okay, list 3 reasons why Lily is happy coming to school on Monday morning. And we're going to pause and take a step back for jaunty, because that's a big word. If you are jaunty, you're feeling very cheerful and confident. So Lily is feeling very jaunty when she has her new purple plastic purse. Lily wanted to show everyone. Not now, said Mr. Slinger. Listen to our story. Lily had a hard time listening. Lily really wanted to show everyone. Not now, said Mr. Slinger. Let's be considerate to our classmates. Lily had a hard time being considerate. Why is Lily having a hard time being considerate? Considerate's when we take turns and we're nice to others. Why is she having a hard time with this? Lily really wanted to show everyone. Not now, said Mr. Slinger. Wait until recess or sharing time. But Lily could not wait. The glasses were so glittery, the quarters were so shiny, and the purse played such nice music, not to mention how excellent it was for storing school supplies. Look, Lily whispered fiercely. Look, everyone, look at what I got. Everyone looked, including Mr. Slinger. He was not amused. Amused is when you're amused, you're excited, but if he was not amused, he's not excited. I'll just keep these things at my desk until the end of the day, said Mr. Slinger. They'll be safe there, and then you can take them home. Lily's stomach lurched. If your stomach's lurching, is it feeling good or is it feeling kind of upset? It's kind of feeling upset. So let's ask ourselves, why did Lily's stomach lurch? She felt like crying. Her glasses were gone. Her quarters were gone. Her purple plastic purse was gone. Lily longed for her purse all morning, even if she was too sad to eat a snack. Mr. Slinger served before recess. That afternoon, Lily went to the light bulb lab. She was still very sad. She thought, and she thought, and she thought, and then she became angry. She thought, and she thought, and she thought some more, and then she became furious. Furious is really angry. She thought, and she thought, and she thought a little bit longer, and then she drew a picture of Mr. Slinger. Big, fat, mean Mr. Stealing teacher, taking all the things that belonged to Lily. P.S. I do not want to be a teacher when I grow up. Why doesn't Lily want to be a teacher when she grows up anymore? What changed? And then here's another question. How does Lily's thoughts about her teacher, Mr. Slinger, change now? How do you know? Right before the last bell rang, Lily sneaked the drawing into Mr. Slinger's book bag. When all the students were buttoned and zipped and snapped and tied and ready to go home, Mr. Slinger strolled over to Lily and gave her her purple plastic purse back. It's a beautiful purse, said Mr. Slinger. Your quarters are nice and jingly, and those glasses are absolutely fabulous. You may bring them back to school as long as you don't disturb the rest of the class. I don't want to be a teacher when I grow up, Lily said as she marched out of the classroom. On the way home, Lily opened her purse. Her glasses and quarters were inside. And so was a note from Mr. Slinger. It said, "Today was a difficult day. Tomorrow will be better." There was also a small bag of tasty snacks at the bottom of her purse. How does Lily feel now? Let's find out. Lily's stomach lurched. She felt like crying. She felt simply awful. Lily ran all the way home and told her mother and father everything. Instead of watching her cartoons, Lily decided to sit in the uncooperative chair. If you're being uncooperative, you're not behaving. I'll stay here a million years for Mr. Slinger. Why does everything happen to me? 1051, 1052, 1059. That night, Lily drew a new picture of Mr. Slinger and wrote a story about him. Lily was really sorry, so everyone forgave her, including her parents and her stinky baby brother, even her especially incredible teacher. And then the sun shined its smiley face down on everyone and everything, even the bugs and the worms. Listen up, I forgive everyone. How could he resist no-frills cheese balls? Lily's mother wrote a note, and Lily's father baked some tasty snacks for Lily to take to school the next day. I think Mr. Slinger will understand, said Lily's mother. I know he will, said Lily's father. The next morning, Lily got to school early. These are for you, Lily said to Mr. Slinger, because I'm really sorry. A lot of reallys. Mr. Slinger read the story, and he looked at the picture, and he read the note. What does it say? And he sampled the snacks. Yum, yum. Wow, said Mr. Slinger. That was all he could say. Wow. What do you think we should do with this? Asked Mr. Slinger. Could we just throw it away? Asked Lily. Excellent idea. It's like having an extra pocket with a radio inside. 3/4 are even better than $1 because they make noise. Glamorous protection from harmful rays. During sharing time, Lily demonstrated the many uses and unique qualities. If something's unique, it means that it's very special. It has special qualities or characteristics about it. So her purple plastic purse, her shiny quarter, so these are the special features of it. And her glittery movie star sunglasses. Then she did a little performance using them as props. It's called interpretive dance, said Lily. Mr. Slinger joined in. Wow, said the entire class. That was all they could say. Wow. Throughout the rest of the day, Lily's purse and quarters and sunglasses were tucked safely inside her desk. She painted them often, but did not disturb a soul. Right before the last bell rang, Mr. Slinger served Lily snacks to everyone's delight. What do you want to be when you grow up? Asked Mr. Slinger. A teacher, everyone responded. Lily's response was the loudest. Excellent choice. So why does Lily want to be a teacher now? As the pupils or students, out of the classroom, Lily held her purple plastic purse close to her heart. Mr. Slinger was right. It had been a better day. Lily ran and skipped and hopped all the way home. She was so happy, and she really did want to be a teacher when she grew up. Now she's playing. That is, when she didn't want to be a dancer or a surgeon or an ambulance driver or a diva or a pilot or a hairdresser or a scuba diver. The end. So some questions for you to think about. The first one is, how does Lily's thoughts about Mr. Slinger change from the beginning of the story to the end? Number 2. Lily is so confident when she arrives at school on Monday morning with her new purple plastic purse. What was the major event that changed how Lily feels? And number 3. Was there ever a time when you felt confident and then something happened to you and you weren't so confident anymore? I hope you enjoyed listening to the story. Enjoy discussing it with a grown-up next to you, and we'll discuss it soon. Thanks, guys.